Welcome to this week's discussion on Is God calling me? God calls every one of us at one time or another. But are we listening? We need to ask Him what He wants from us today. If we have no idea where we are going, any road will do. Where does God want us to be? Have you ever thought, I could never do any of those things that I see some other people doing? We are not all called to build a hospital or a school or to travel all over the world converting people. God created each and every one of us in His image and likeness, and for a particular purpose. Do we want to jeopardize missing out on living the life that God created us for? We all have different gifts. We are all good at something, and we are all bad at something. God provides all of us with various talents. We are called to use those talents for God's purpose. In the Gospel of Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 30, we find the familiar parable of the talents. A talent at that time was a coin, although the story works well whether it is a coin or an actual talent. One servant was given 10 talents, one servant was given 2 talents, and one servant was given only 1 talent. After a long trip, the master asks for an accounting from each servant to see what they did with the money he had entrusted to them. The one with 10 talents made 10 more, was rewarded, and was called a good and faithful servant. The one with 2 made 2 more, and had the same experience. The one who had 1 talent did nothing with his talent, and had everything taken away, and he was called a wicked and lazy servant. Most of us have heard this story many times during our lifetime, but did you ever wonder what would have happened with the servant with the 1 talent if the situation had been a little different? This is only my opinion, but I must believe that if that servant would have done all he could have with the 1 talent he was given, and failed, he would also have been rewarded. Mother Teresa was giving a talk in Washington, D.C. one time, and a senator asked her how difficult it must be to not succeed at being able to feed all of India. Mother Teresa said to the senator, God does not call me to succeed. He calls me to love. Helen Keller, with all her disabilities, once said, I am one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. I cannot refuse God something I know I can do. None of us can do everything, but all of us can do something. How do I know what God wants me to do? That is the question we all must answer for ourselves. We all have different needs, wants, desires, and abilities. We need to separate what God wants us to do from what we just want to do. All this requires prayer. Every day I ask God what He wants me to do and to help me to set aside what I feel like doing. Blessed Maria Enrica Dominici was born in Turin, Italy in the mid-19th century. She was very dedicated to finding and doing the will that God had for her. She said, to will what God wills, as God wills it, and as far as He wills it. We are all servants, and we all have some talents. What is next? There are many books to be read on discovering the will of God for each of us. It is all a matter of separating what we want to do because we want to do it, or to ask God to guide us to find His will for each of us, even if it is not something we really want to do. We must find what God wills for us and make that will our own. As retirement was approaching for me, I started to pray to God to let me know what He wants me to do next. One of my thoughts was to write or blog about wines. My hobby is food and wine pairing, and I thought this would be a good endeavor. I thought about how this would go. What are my talents? I know wine. I know how to pair them with various foods. It is what I like doing. I could even make money at this with the right sponsors. Then I said, where is God in this decision? I went back to prayer. What does God want me to do? What talents do I have to do it? I prayed, Father, guide me to do your will. Okay, I felt that God wants me to write these talks. Since I have already written my Catholic letter, I will just find some short topics in the book and write about those. My book is so big and detailed this would be better. God said no. He said I can use it for reference, but write new talks from scratch. A couple came to mind right away, and I began writing. But all the time I was wondering where the next new topics would come from. After writing a few of them, I had to ask God to slow down with new topics. I just can't write that fast. How does God want you to serve Him today? If you say, I do not have enough time, you might ask yourself, where are my priorities? Allow your will to be the same as God's will for you, and you will both be on the same page. There are three things required to hear God's call to you. A. Attention to God's call. H. Hear it clearly. A. Act upon that call. Attention. Hear and act. That is an aha moment. Have a blessed week. If you would like to receive these weekly discussions, please subscribe below. You can also feel free to share any comments